the special stage, a collection of odds and ends for the title pending podcast. This is a bit of a quantum leap. Here we are, me and Vespa, sent back from the past. We're from the future, actually. Princess Sally sent us back to make some corrections, because the original special stage we recorded for this, it was a bit unstructured, because what we had was a bit incomplete, but now we have more information. This is a tale in the life, a day in the life of Dr. Robotnik, one of the stories that Penders had submitted to Sega, but got rejected, and in the initial recording, some of the pages were missing, but hindsight's 2020, I had actually emailed Ken and was like, hey, do you have the other pages for this? And he actually said yes, and so here we are doing a re-recorded version of this story. It's a nice little reprieve for us, because where we're at in the future, things are going on right now, and so, you know, it's a nice little reprieve to just go back to the past here and clean up some odds and ends.
Also need to feature a bit of a Sonic Archie lost media in a sense.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, we start with the cover, because the cover of this, which was, I believe, instead replaced with an image of Robotnik. He's like, welcome to my neighborhood, and he has a button that says, I love pollution. That was not the original cover, as I detailed in the episode. This is a companion to, but this was actually the cover, because it was going to be a special all bad guys issue. Which, you know, I really liked that idea. It's a shame that we never got that. I mean, we later got that with IDW, but we're not going to be covering that for years from our time, decades for the listeners at home, because this is definitely recorded years in the future and not, like, a month in the future.
I was also going to say, like, it's a shame this idea didn't come up a bit later on in Archie, even after the point where we're at, given, like, there weren't that many villains to be featured in Archie Sonic by this point.
Yeah.
And most of them, like, had been defeated or dealt with by the end of their stories.
Yeah, because at this point in chronology, it's just, like, Robotnik sends his minions out. Like, we don't have a rogues gallery yet, for the most part.
Right.
But yeah, I've written a little recap, and unlike recaps that you dear listeners, are going to be hearing, this is going to be more page by page rather than story beat to story beat, so it's going to be a bit more slow, but, you know, this is just one story. It's only, like, 10 pages and a cover, so we can afford to take it slow. So without further ado, or just a ado, let's not be stingy. The cover features Robotnik painting his name over the title, announcing that he's taken over the comic and that this is a special all bad guys issue. I don't like how Penders drew crab meat.
I was going to bring that up.
It's really creepy with the angry eyebrows and all that.
I was going to say, they look like a character of, like, a humongous entertainment game, like Pajama Sam or Freddy Fish, or whatever that game's called. Yeah.
Man, imagine humongous entertainment Sonic instead of what we did get for Sonic Edutainment.
I bet you're
we should stream that. We should stream that.
I bet you're about to say, like, Archie Humongous Entertainment. I was just imagining just Penders written Archie Humongous Stories. What a nightmare that would become.
Can you spell Dimitri? But yeah, I think it's a cute cover. I like the paint style. I think it's neat. One thing that I didn't write down, but is a note, is this was just how... I don't remember the exact source. It was one of, like, Penders' many sources I get from. It was either, like, Sonic Retro, like, Sonic News Network, or, like, Penders' own blog. But yeah, like, at this point, like, what he would send in instead of just scripts, rather, are, like, just these sketches, you know? And I think that's honestly fascinating as someone who's trying to get into making comics myself. Just doing sketches and proposing that to the editor and to Sega instead of just doing scripts. It's weird to me, but I think it's fascinating.
Yeah, same here.
Page 1. Our story begins with Robotnik asleep in his bed, with a visual gag that he sleeps with a teddy bear and a nylon mesh that's normally used to prevent children from rolling off their beds. Robotnik is woken up by a Sonic-themed alarm clock, which he promptly smashes. I love the visual gags in this.
I just think of Adventures of Sonic. Like, I remember like there was like some episode where like Robotnik had like a childhood teddy bear that also turned out to be like his own like sort of death machine that he cared for. I'd love if we had something like that, a nod to that with his teddy bear.
Yeah, this is I like how this is like very Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog core in contrast to like how Archie mainly just focuses on Sad AM, honestly. Like, and even then, like, at this point in the podcast, like, the stuff that we've seen, I wouldn't even say is Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog core. It's just, like, its own thing. Like, we bring it up in a later episode, but it's, like, it's not spoilers, is that, like, Mike Gallagher is, like, a writer for Mad, and so it's, like, you know, it feels more, like, akin to Mad. Like, the DNA is more for that, and more for, like, just Archie in general, rather than Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. So it's interesting seeing, like, this story, which feels very Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog core.
Right. I was going to say, like, this era of Sonic Archie just feels kind of like a weird in-between of, like, the goofy wackiness of Archie and the less serious version of Robotnik, but also, like, the setting and character of Sad AM. With its varying, like, level of seriousness.
Yeah, it feels weird going back to this, honestly, but it's interesting. I don't like as much as I like the gag with the teddy bear, I don't like that it looks like Homer Simpson if he were in Sesame Street. Like, it kind of looks like very Cartoon Network core, like 90s Cartoon Network core, but also just reminds me of Homer.
I get what you mean.
Page 2. Robotnik reflects on how well his life has been going so far, with Robotropolis being his personal utopia of robots and pollution, before announcing his plans to have Sonic defeated before dinner time, much to the fear of his teddy bear Robo. There's just a lot of references in here. Like, it's something like I'm kind of surprised with, like, early Penders, is that in these, like, earlier stories, much like Gallagher, he's very full of making references. Like, we have the Good Morning Robotropolis bit, and then the Mr. Rogers bit, and Alas, Poor Yorick, of all things.
Of course. I mean, that's, everyone's mentioned an Alas, Poor Yorick joke in the 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say, like, Penders does have, like, his fair share of references, too. Like, though his pool tends to, I feel like, lean more towards, like, sci-fi and fantasy stuff he grew up with, rather than, like, referential humor like Gallagher.
Like, it's a lot of, like, Star Trek and, like, comics, like, Silver Age comics, well, Jack Kirby era comics. I've recently gone on, like, a massive crash course of comics, but I don't actually remember which age Jack Kirby was a part of, so forgive me.
That's fair. I'm not the best with knowing the age as well.
Also, a lot of rock music, a lot of rock references.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah. I like the little bit where it says the population, but in parentheses, robots, that is. Like, that's a cute little bit. Page 3. Having his breakfast, Robotnik is given his to-do list by Crabmeat, which sets the outline for the rest of the story. First on Robotnik's agenda is to crush Sonic, something he prepares for by setting up a trap of boulders to roll onto the road to the Cactus Flats once Sonic passes by. There's a lot of jokes on this that I just do not get. Like, the bills for Robotnik going to the Super Bowl or something. It's just a reference that I do not get. Or,
I don't get it.
Or the Onto the Breach one. It's probably just, like, some sci-fi thing that the more sci-fi oriented people listening might just have an aneurysm with, but it's a neat little thing. I do just a general thing, I do think it's interesting seeing, like, Pender's early Sonic art style rendered in, like, thumbnail sketches, because, like, seeing how artists do thumbnail sketches is always something that fascinates me, honestly. It's just always fascinating seeing, like, how, like, you simplify things to get, like, sketches out for thumbnails out, layouts, and all that. Like, that's just something that's always been fascinating, because, like, every artist does it differently. Sometimes, like this, you have, like, close to the final style, but not quite. And then you get some artists, like I think Toriyama of Dragon Ball fame, where it's like basically just finished sketches and it's terrifying. Or then you get Araki, the JoJo guy, where it is just abstract shapes, and it is a wonder that he's able to piece together what's going on. But yeah, page 4. After describing the plan to crush Sonic to crab meat, Robotnik then sets it in motion, to no success as Sonic speeds by. All the while, boulders fail to drop. Expressing his frustration, Robotnik moves on to the next part of his plan, this time to kill Sonic. He sets up a, quote, lifelike dummy of Princess Sally and ties it to a railroad track, remarking that if he can't tell the difference, Sonic won't be able to, until it's too late. I didn't even notice in the original, like, reading of this that Sonic does, like, zoom past in the third panel, and then so we kind of just, like, skimmed through it, and I didn't really parse much of it, but that's why we're here doing a new recording of it. I do genuinely love the villain henchman dynamic that he and Crabmeat have, though.
Right. Just noticing just how, again, weird Crabmeat looks since he doesn't have, I think it's because, like, he doesn't have, like, the little, like, mouth flap. It's just, like, a straight line on, like, a regular, like, cartoon mouth line thing. I guess probably just for, like, the sake of the thumbnail sketches.
Yeah, you're right, because it's normally just, like, a hole, and I just didn't even process it as a mouth, aside from, like, a few panels, like, later on in the comic. But, like, yeah, it does look a bit weird here, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Also, just the way that, like, Robotnik is drawing some of these is, like, weirdly taller than, like, less rotund than he normally does, but again, probably, like, just the sake of thumbnail sketches.
Like, the last panel on this page, just, I don't know how to describe that. He looks like the villain in Jumping Flash 2, if you've seen that.
I feel like I know what you might be referring to, but I can't recall off the top of my head.
Yeah. I do like how the dummy looks not lifelike at all. Like, I know I'm literally explaining the joke, but that's still really funny to me. Page 5. Robotnik waits for the 3:57 train to arrive, only to be interrupted by the union-mandated ice cream break. Grumbling about having to be pulled away from his work, Crabmeat gives him his usual sundae, only for him to chip a tooth on some of the nuts and bolts that were toppings on his sundae. This is one of the pages that was lost media until Ken re-uploaded them, so yeah, we almost missed out on the fucking union joke, which I guess is more topical than ever, unfortunately. Support your local strikes, everybody. I do love that it's an ice cream break, though. I think it's really funny. Man, SWATbot playing a violin, that is an amazing visual gag. I love that so much.
Yeah. Like, where we are, like, the comics, like, we still get, like, the occasional things like this, but I don't feel like any of them really stick out as much as this does. Like, since it's, like, we have, like, the kind of, like, slapsticky stuff of, like, Robotnik and his henchmen trying and failing to stop a freedom fighter a la, like, Roadrunner, like this one. But I feel like this one is a bit stronger, but might just because, like, when it came out, but also just, like, it's a lot more... It's not just, like, the gag of, oh, the villain screwed up the thing and it backfires on them. Like, there's a bunch of other, like, weird little gags as well with it.
Yeah, well, it's astute of you to mention Roadrunner, but we'll get to that, like, towards the end. Page 6. We cut to the dentist's office, where a dentist and his nurse, both resembling Mario and Luigi respectively, operate on Robotnik's teeth, remarking that they're gonna have to take out the bridge, something that reminds Robotnik of his plans for the day. His penultimate plot, this time to destroy Sonic, has him planting charges on the John W. Weeks Bridge, thus confirming that this story does in fact take place in Massachusetts. His explanation is cut short as he accidentally sets off the boulder trap before, as the Cactus Flats sign from a few pages ago is here, revealing that the story more specifically takes place in the famous Massachusetts desert.
I'll take your word for that thing in Massachusetts.
I did some research for this.
Fair enough. I fucking love the bit of just like the random cameo of Mario and Luigi.
Yeah.
For some reason.
I wonder,
I know Dr. Mario.
I wonder if that's why it got cut. Because we mentioned in episode 3 that there was like a story in which Sonic takes on a character that's meant to look like Mario, but then like Sega rejected that. Like, I wonder if that was why the story got cut, like, and nothing else, honestly.
That'd be weird. Like, I could believe Sega would be that,
It sounds like a Sega thing to do, honestly.
Yeah, but at the same time, they just, like, ask them to change it to, like, some animal characters or something. Like, why, like, scrap the whole
implication that
like
Robotnik would roboticize, like, all animal life, but then keep some of them on as dentists is just amazing to me. I do love the joke of Robotnik. His dental work is just putting a Band-Aid on the chipped tooth. It's really stupid, but I love it. Page 7. Robotnik and Crabmeat make a run from the boulder before running onto the train tracks before, with Robotnik expressing confusion at why Sally is here, falling for his own trap. The two continue to make their escape, with the Sally dummy now stuck to the train, and run along the railway that runs along the John W. Weeks Bridge, which, presumably, is for the students at Harvard to get from faculty to faculty. The joke is that the John W. Weeks Bridge is on Harvard's campus. None of this is accurate in the slightest. It's just a weird reference that I don't understand why Ken named a specific bridge here.
I don't know, it's just... I think we mentioned it before at this point, but, like, it's clear, like, just sometimes, like, there's just a lot of things, like, not even just with Archie, it's something I noticed as well with, like, Sonic Boom, like, just weird references, just the things that would only make, like, in-joke for the writers themselves, rather than the kids that reading these things or watching them.
Yeah, I do just love the implication that there's not only a railway that runs through Harvard, but also Harvard is just in a desert in the middle of Massachusetts. I think that's the funniest, like, mental image ever for, like, if you're, for, like, our American listeners as to how little that makes sense. I don't remember the specifics. I'm terrible with states as evidenced in this episode, but, like, I'm pretty sure Massachusetts is landlocked, right? And also nowhere near a desert. But in any case, Robotnik and Crabmeat's escape is short-lived as they slam into the explosives from earlier, detonating with Robotnik ordering Crabmeat not one word. Not one single solitary word.
Love a bit of the swap pots having a train conductor hat on.
Yeah, or how there is, in fact, an actual kitchen sink there as well.
Oh, for God's sake.
Or another joke I just now noticed, how the stars or birds above Robotnik's head are instead of Sonic. It's a little cute bit, honestly.
Yeah.
I believe this is, page 9 is another one of the pages we did not have before. With his plans to destroy Sonic being a bust, Robotnik finishes his day off with one last thing on his to-do list, buying milk. At dinner time, Robotnik is interrupted by a package from Sonic, dressed up as a Mario brother, revealed to be a replacement alarm clock for the one he destroyed earlier. Robotnik is livid. I love that joke, though. I think that's absolutely hilarious that Sonic is just resupplying alarm clocks for Robotnik and just also knew that the previous alarm clock was destroyed. Maybe he doesn't know. Maybe he's just giving him alarm clocks every so often just to be a dick, and that's honestly funnier too.
Probably. Just giving him, like, various Sonic memorabilia just to tick him off.
Yeah. I also just love... Again, I'm explaining the joke, but I love how mundane this part is. How it's literally just...
Agreed.
They go and get groceries, and Crabmeat is just holding them for Robotnik.
It's just really, like... Even more so than I feel like usual, just a very, like, goofy, mundane, silly comic that I kind of just enjoy, like, more so than, like, some of the early stuff. But also, like, the bit with, like, Sonic in Disguise reminds me so much of Adventures of Sonic.
Yeah, absolutely. I just love how Crabmeat is depicted on here. He's just, like, even more of a goober than he is just generally in the stories. I love him. And finally, our story ends with Robotnik finding nothing good on TV, with the news more focused on his antics throughout the day, before going to take a bath and before taking a bath and going to rest, ready to try and foil Sonic once more tomorrow. I think this is a really cute story. I genuinely loved it, and
agreed.
Honestly, given that this replaces that one story where Sonic gets magical stones from a frog and Rotor makes a thermos, I would have taken this a mile away. Yeah, like they were struggling to get something after this got rejected.
Good lord. Okay, that actually explains a lot. Like, I forgot that was this was the issue that like was replaced with that.
Yeah.
Man, that I don't know like how. I'm assuming like if with the whole all villain thing, like we probably would have had like some other like gag comics, like another like 1 page or 2 page gag with like the Badniks or something, and then like one more Robotnik story, and like maybe one of the pre-existing ones.
Yeah, Snively appears at this point.
Oh yeah. Maybe this would have been like the original like introduction for Snively in the comics.
Yeah, I have no idea, but yeah, I would have honest like this would have been a highlight issue for me. Especially in like we weren't doing special stages of end of stage rankings at this point in the podcast, but like this version of this issue would have been my A rank probably, honestly.
Probably, yeah. I feel like it rank pretty high for me. Though, also, I just realized that this does also remind me a lot of like also Boom Robotnik or Boom Eggman. I mean, like the much more like mundane, like comically inept, like sitcom villain Eggman from that version of Sonic. Like it's like a weird, like even more mundane and goofy than Adventures Eggman. Robotnik. That
I do just love how it ends where it starts. I always think that's cute with stories as well.
Yeah, it's a fun little bookend gag.
And one last thing that came from the blog post from Ken, we do get the memo in which Ken basically tries his best to defend the story for Sega, and I'm not gonna read it. It's on the screen right now. I'm gonna have it in the video version of this. I mean, it's literally just him describing the story, explaining why it's a good, like, making his case, basically, and just, like, expressing confusion as to why Sega just basically rejected it without giving any reason, because nothing changes with Sega. Sega and all that.
Yeah, that very much sounds like an issue we're still having with IDW nowadays, just, like, things that they're just, or, like, Sonic spin-offs in general, like the Sonic Prime, like there's just some things they're just very anal about, but we don't really get a good reason why they are.
But the one thing I will point out to wrap up this section of the special stage is that, yeah, like you said, look in the second paragraph, he just explicitly name drops a Roadrunner. Like, that was definitely an influence he had, and so it's like, yeah, that's cute. Like, I think Adventure Sonic works really well when it's just having like Roadrunner style antics, honestly, rather than Wolverine style referential nonsense.
Right, where it's pretty much like more just like really corny quips and reference humors, like referential jokes, like actual, like even if it is like kind of recycled stuff from like older cartoons, like the slapstick stuff is just a lot more fun to watch or read compared to that stuff, for me at least.
Yeah, definitely. But that's gonna do it for this special stage, is what I'd like to say. That's it for us from the future, but I'm gonna throw it over to us from the present as we continue the other thing in which we did in fact do the write your own captioned Sonic story, and it's an absolute nightmare.
One of my favorite things we recorded thus far, I'd say.
Stay slick, Rick, as my new end slate it definitely is at this point in time.
Gotta juice to the past, or present, future, whatever.
Nailed it. A bit of a word of warning here from Future Futures Camilla. This section predictably goes very far off the rails, and while we don't write out anything that's downright offensive, this section of the special stage gets far more raunchy than either of us honestly anticipated, and thus viewer discretion is advised. It was the story featured of Do-It-Yourself Sonic, and so we opted to do it ourselves. And so I'm going to read Vespa's one because I have not seen it, and then Vespa is going to read mine because they've not seen it.
Yeah, mine.
So let's just jump right into it. The old dock in the sea. Okay, let's see. The SS. What does it say? The SS
Sea Fox.
Sea Fox. Okay.
Yeah. At first, I was gonna try writing it down, but then I decided I'm just gonna use the text tool on my application.
Keep your eyes peeled in case we come across the General Herman Tails. Legend has it he's big enough to swallow a ship whole. Aye, aye, Captain Sonic. That's adorable. It's adorable.
Oh, thank you.
I've spotted that scoundrel Sonic and his foolish fox first mate right above. Commander Crabmeat, is the Mobius Deep ready? Yes, Captain, all ships are go. The only fishes they'll find are the ones they'll be sleeping with soon. That's Mafia Link, you crustaceous carouser!
Fun fact, that carouser is apparently like a term for someone who's like a drunkard, apparently, like with something like a drinking.
Hey, I caught my first fish, Sonic! Nice going, matey. I'm feeling something biting too. Oh man, you think this one's General? Whatever it is, it's sure putting up a fight. Holy mother of all mackerels! Yikes! It's a sea monster! I'd be worse than a sea monster, Fox Boy. It'd be Captain Ivo Robotnik and his latest monstrosity, Mobius Deep. Moby's on a seafood diet, and it looks like chum's on the menu tonight. Sorry, Robotnik. We left our wallet at home. Let's do lunch never. I love how you're making Robotnik speak like a pirate.
I felt like it would fit. I was trying to like write this if I was like a writer in like the early Sonic comics, like a very like cheesy like.
Yeah. I do like you went from Mobius Deep so you can make a Moby Dick joke. I wish you did on a seafood diet and it looks like he sees food here though.
Fair.
Hurry, Captain, he's gaining on us! I'm rowing as fast as I can, Tails! Whoa, land ho! Looks like old Moby was craving sand instead. Great catch, Sonic. Or should I be calling you Ishmael now? Why?
I'm glad you like the stupid punchline at the end of it.
Why did the writer decide to name the story after the old man in the sea, but then decided to make a bunch of Moby Dick references instead?
I'm glad you enjoyed that punchline. Right.
It's really good. It's really good. I'm glad you went for a more sane angle compared to what I came up with.
Oh no, I've been dreading what you. As soon
Yeah,
as I
don't
saw
worry.
it, it's like my first brief. Like, oh no, Hedgehog. Oh my
Hedgehog
God,
Original Sin.
Jesus. Oh my fuck's sake. First. Nice apprentice advice over a fishing competition, eh, Tails? Hope she lets us eat this. She lets us eat the fish. I hope she lets us eat the fish this time. I haven't eaten in weeks. The SS Sally.
It's the SS Sally. They finally made the boat. They kept the boat. It's in papyrus font, by the way.
It fits much better than like my doodle Phoenix Heroes.
Okay, this was the first panel I did. It was the one that immediately came to me like divine revelation.
Try to be honest. Does this rotor scope make my butt look fat? If it flatters you, then yes, Captain. Hedge-ho, Captain. Hedgehog flight at 10 o'clock. Excellent. That attentiveness is why you're an ironic ass. God damn it, Cammy.
Hey, look, we're recording this in tandem with with the tier list, for your consideration.
Oh,
I didn't
God.
write this with intent that any of us would read it, by the way. I
Fair
just,
enough.
read it out loud. I just wrote whatever stupid shit came to mind, and I was like, yeah, baby, let's go.
Fair enough. We should drink the salt water. We should drink the salt water for ourselves, Sonic. It's an endless supply. Sonic, you're not looking so good. Are you okay? I got a pee, Tails. Never mind. God damn it, Kimmy. Fuck. What the
I don't know.
Never mind. I no longer need to pee. Ew, gross.
And then the sound effect is just piss.
Piss.
So going back up, the bit about drinking salt water, I wanted to continue the stupid running joke that, Sally doesn't let them eat. And I wanted to, come up with a joke where Tails is like, oh, these fish are being so selfish, sharing all the water for themselves, we should drink it. And, it was just gonna become a running bit where they're just obsessed with drinking all of the water in the ocean. But I just could not figure out how to word it. And so I just went with, we should drink the salt water for ourselves. It's an endless supply.
To be fair, we had read the muckery story by this point, right? Maybe they still have been eating muck for the past few weeks.
Yeah. Anyway.
Time to get rid of a real Moby Dickhead. Full speed ahead. Repent now, Shona. Oh.
I was gonna put something there, but then I accidentally left a letter O, and I was just like, that's infinitely funnier than anything I could have come up with.
Repent now, Shona. A fucking incredible line.
Because I was just trying to think an Archie writer, trying to think of as many whale puns as possible, and obviously they're not gonna put time to get rid of a real Moby Dickhead, but I still felt very proud of that one.
Fair enough. Oh god, I got hiccups now.
I gave them to you.
What do you mean, too, Jonah? I mean, Sonic. I will take my kids to the grave, Tails. Keep rowing. This is how Sonic is dead. This is how Sonic is dead. Boom, Blues, Rick and Morty soundtrack, Evil Morty theme, quality extended. For the damage quota.
The Boom and Floosh is reference to a comic I made when I was 7. I was like, I need to put that in there.
Great rowing, Tails. Now Robotnik will never know what I do with the size right. We won the competition, and let's dig in. God damn it. I'll get to devoting. You can throw the carberries into the ocean where they belong. I love that it's also misspelled, too.
That was not on purpose. I was just trying to figure out how I could force this in as much as I could, and as a result, I didn't bother to proofread it.
God. I kind of figured this was going to be carberries. But I wasn't expecting the Hedgehog Original Sin.
Hedgehog Original Sin. That's such a great title.
That's
they would never go for it, but it's such a great title.
I'm genuinely surprised. I've never heard someone use Hedgehog Original Sin before in a YouTube title or something.
Holy shit! You've got the fucking hiccups, dude.
Yeah. I'll deal with that after we're done with recording.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
But that's about to do it for this special stage, is what I'd like to say, because I lied to you, Vespa. There's a bit more to deal with this time.
Yeah?
So, when I was trying to set up for, getting the deliverables for this assignment of us both doing the DIY Sonic thing.
Yeah?
I had like a dumb idea in my head, and I thought to myself, what if I brought in a third party? And so I figured, what if I asked Cobb, our lovely friend Cobb, to come up with an extra version of this? And so I haven't seen it yet, but we're gonna see it together.
Come up with.
And so,
Jesus Christ!
I'll be Sonic, you'll be Tails.
All right.
Do you want Eggman or Crabmeat?
I'll take Robotnik.
Okay. And so I have not seen this, and so we're gonna experience it together. So
Oh, Jesus Christ!
Sonic the Hedgehog in a boat. Okay, let's see. Nice of the Pingus to invite us over a dick pic, gay Luigi.
Sonic! I don't want to hear your YouTube food references today. It's my one day off. I don't need this shit right now.
For some reason, gay Luigi is just massively on the frame.
Say Luigi. Hey, crap meat. It's that time of the month again.
Lol, Lamau even. You want me to drop the loud, XD?
Make it so. Perhaps I'll finally feel something again. Race Periscope.
I like how they put gay Luigi on the Periscope.
Good God. I did not expect this to be more cursed than yours.
I've heard them reacting to their own work. I was expecting it to be cursed. I wasn't expecting it to be this far off.
Love comments. In the bottom right corner of the panel.
Okay.
Oh wow, you actually made the catch, Stumpy Asshat. Maybe you're not as dumb as you sound. Oh my God, you're making oh my God, you're making my goddamn ears bleed. Dick a tree. Shut up. Oh no.
Whoa, what did Mouth do?
Oh my God, shut your fucking mouth, you whore, we're gonna die. After all of these years, the hedgehog is finally within my egg-like clutches. Now all I have to do is wait. Where did he go?
Well, bye.
God damn it!
I can't believe they edited that.
Well, bye.
I can't handle this. I'm gonna die. We're gonna need to take a break after we finish recording this.
Yes.
We're gonna have. I got the hiccups too.
I think I gave them back to you.
Okay. One more page of this shit. I must fill it.
Blast it all. Blast that animal. Oh, blast his empty boat. And yet I find something inviting, alluring even. Oh my God, no, calm. No, I'm not reading that.
Oh, yes. Little boat fetish.
Wow, they really got all washed up. Shit,
Wet like a pussy and twice as slippery.
Shit yourself, you mongrel. I'm so sorry, frowny face.
I can't believe they edited. the Robotnik page on the bottom left.
The bottom left corner. Jesus Christ, God.
I don't know how much we can show of this, honestly.
We might need to save this for the Patreon.
It's just...
If you want to be the fucked up comic
right into the Sonicgrams now, and
we'll send you the zip file. I don't know what the fuck is the Saturn thing in the bottom right corner of the first panel on the second page is meant to be.
I don't know either.
It looks like something off of an album.
It's terrifying is what it is. I just...
Oh my god.
Gave me absolute dread. Honestly, to toot my own horn, like, I felt like I was, like, falling apart coming up with mine towards the end, but there's some pages, some panels I was so satisfied with, like, I will take my sins to the grave, tails keep rowing.
Repent now, Jonah.
Repent now, Jonah, yeah. We're just continuing the narrative of Christian Robotnik.
The what? I don't remember.
Because we're talking, like, in an earlier episode, in, like, the second episode, about how Robotnik's Protestant. Because he put clothes on Bunny when roboticizing her.
Oh, god damn it. I forgot about that. Jesus Christ.
This is why I do the editing, so I can just remember the things I want to haunt you with.
Thank you, Camilla the Hedgehog.
From Phoenix, Arizona, aged -4.
Like I said, I knew it was gonna be good, but not like this.
Not like this, not like this. I'm still satisfied with the bottom left on page 1 of mine. Just, does this rotoscope make my butt look fat? If it flatters you, then yes, Captain. Or just Hedge-Ho was also... That felt like something they would write, honestly.
Yeah.
So, it was... I think we all, as a group, A, need to sit down, and B, created some amazing comics. We should have gotten the subscription to Archie Sonic. I'm gonna go back in time and get the subscriptions and the signed autographs.
But these comics came out before either of us were born.
Yeah, so it just means I won't have to worry about running into myself. I'm not even like an idea in my parents' head yet.
God damn it.
But that's gonna do it for today's special stage. Until next time, we're gonna have to take a break from our recording session to calm down. But we'll see you next time. Stay pendering, penderheads.
Gotta choose. Jesus Christ.